Welcome to this guide on how to grow on TikTok. Before we start, I'm just going to give you my credentials. I grew a startup's TikTok to 3.5k followers in a week and then 34k followers months later, which actually isn't that impressive, but I did all this in medical school, so I don't see why you can't do the same thing while working a full-time job. I've also helped a boxing coach gain 4k followers with just 11 videos filmed on my iPhone. I've also gotten results like these. I initially planned to make this a paid online course, but decided to just make it on YouTube to help more people. In this course, you will learn everything you need to learn about growing on TikTok. I personally didn't hold anything back, so any information I had in my head, I tried to put it out on this course. During this guide, feel free to scrub forwards and backwards depending on your needs, but let's get into it. Here are 2 useful frameworks when it comes to creating content. 1, garner attention and establish credibility, and 2, add value. So I'll go into point number 1. In the first few seconds of your video, you need to very quickly garner attention and establish credibility. Garnering attention can be done with a great hook, which will go in depth later. And then after you garner attention, you need to very quickly establish credibility. You can do this in multiple ways. Ultimately, you're a stranger on the internet. Why should people watch your content? You need to give people a reason to. Maybe you have the results that they want. So if you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to teach people how to cook a certain recipe, you might want to show the meal while topless so people know that you actually have the credentials. If you're a doctor, you often see doctors and medical students in scrubs. Or you can essentially just say, day in the life of a 5th year medical student. So you can establish credibility in multiple ways, depending on your niche. The second framework is add value. The only reason why people watch your content is because you add some sort of value to their lives. And there are 3 broad forms of value that can be added in the form of content: education, entertainment, or motivation. It's usually one of those 3, although there are probably more categories out there. Like when you post to your friends, they probably get value just because you do cool things. You go here or you go there or you made some gym progress. But to a random group of strangers, who are you? Why would they watch your bodybuilding content over CBum when CBum's already the best in the world? So you need to give people reason to watch your content, and you need to be providing tons and tons of value. Maybe you can be more relatable than CBum, or you might motivate better, or whatever your niche is. So try to add value in all your videos, and in your videos you need to have the framework of, from the viewer's perspective, how am I adding value to their lives? Now, the algorithm. So I'll give you 2 models. The first model, the push model, and the second model, the pull model. So the push model. The push model is how people describe the old TikTok algorithm, and that is you create a piece of content, it gets pushed to a group of people that would most likely like your content, say 10 people. From that sample of people, if that content you produce gets certain metrics that TikTok wants, for example retention, for example likes, for example comments, engagement, so on and so forth, then it gets pushed to a bigger audience, for example 100, 300. If it hits those metrics that's required of that audience, it goes bigger and then bigger and then bigger. So that's the push algorithm. It gets pushed to a certain amount of people. If it meets those metrics, it gets pushed to an even bigger group. So that's push. Pull, number 2, is you create a piece of content and then TikTok looks for someone who might already watch that style of content. So for example, there's a group of people who love protein recipe content. That's what they love. So then when you produce a recipe on how to make high protein pizza, then it matches the 2. So you have a group of people that want to watch your content and you produce that content, and TikTok just connects the 2. It's not a push, it's a pull. So what can you do with these 2 models? So the first model, the push, what you want to do is you want to create content that meets those metrics that TikTok wants. You want to make content that gets engagement and retention ultimately. And with the pull model, what you can do is you want to make content which is already native to the TikTok platform. So if you see a video that does well on healthy pizza, what you do, you create a similar piece of content, and TikTok then connects those people who already love the healthy pizza with your content because there's already a market for it. So it just connects the 2. So make content that has retention and engagement, and also make content which looks native to the platform. My suggestion is to not be too creative in the beginning. Maybe try a little bit here and there, but ultimately you want to make content native to the platform. So what looks like a TikTok piece of content, try to make that. And the best way to do it is to just scroll on the algorithm for maybe an hour or so, understand what looks native and then try to make videos that are similar. Niching. Here are 2 reasons why you should consider niching in the beginning and why you might even want to consider making a sub niche within that niche in the beginning. First point is that it's very hard to target the entire market. For example, if you're trying to make just generic bodybuilder content, it's very hard to target the entire bodybuilding sphere because you're competing with people like Sebum and top tier bodybuilders. Why would they watch your content over the elite bodybuilders? So what I suggest in the beginning is that if this is the entire market, try to find a sub niche within that market. For example, you could do bodybuilding in New Zealand or bodybuilding but only high protein recipes. Something like that. Conquer the entire market and then you'll be known as the high protein recipe guy. And then, yeah, it's much easier to conquer a sub niche rather than trying to target the entire market. Second reason why, it's because once you establish a sub niche and you're the king in that sub niche, it's very easy to then expand out and then target bodybuilding, say, more generically later on. You can always niche down and then expand out later on. But in the beginning, it's very hard to go broad and then niche down because if you go broad, everyone in that market will follow you. You get a bit here, a bit here, a bit here. But then when you niche down, not everyone that follows you would want to watch that niche that you've just established later on. So it's better to go small than big rather than big than small. And here are 2 reasons why you should stick to your niche in the beginning. 1, when people follow you, they kind of want to see a certain style of content. Like, you don't really see Salt Bae teaching people how to exercise. He's kind of known as the salt guy, right? So it'd be very weird if Salt Bae started making gym tutorials. It'd be a bit weird. So you want to stick to your niche because if you follow the principles of the push algorithm, then your content will be pushed out to probably your followers first. And if your followers are like, I don't vibe with this content, this was not the reason why I followed, skip, then it won't hit the retention metrics and then it wouldn't expand out and go viral. So you want to kind of stick to your niche in the beginning if you're optimizing for growth. The second point why you want to stick to your niche in the beginning is that if you make a video outside your niche and say it goes viral, then you're going to get a ton of followers from that. And then those followers are expecting you to make that exact same style of video again. And if that's not you, if that's not what you want to make, then you're going to have a ton of followers that don't really love your content. And then they're not going to hit the retention metrics that you want them to hit, like mentioned earlier. So they're not going to be your true fans, and that's going to hurt the algorithm pushing out your content to more and more people. So I'd suggest in the beginning at least to just stick to your niche. So what should your niche be? Well, it should be something you can talk for ages about. Try to think of, you go to a Christmas dinner and then all your family's there and then, oh, there goes that guy talking about stocks again. Oh, there goes that guy always talking about bodybuilding. So you want to be that guy who can just run on and on and on about whatever topic you want to talk about. And also, you also want to be credible in your niche. You don't want to be skinny and then talk about how to put on tons and tons of muscle unless you're just documenting your journey. But you need to have some sort of credibility in your niche. It'd be a lot better for gaining a following. So the action plan from here is that if you have a niche, good, don't worry. But if you don't, write down a list of potential niches that you could go into and then analyze it with some sort of framework and then eventually pick a niche, for the beginning at least. Now, how frequently should you post? The answer is as frequently as you can without compromising too much on quality. I suggest something like writing down a goal of posting 1 video a day for 30 days. And not something like posting 5 videos every day, but you only commit to that for 2 days. It often doesn't work. Sometimes it'll only pop off after 10 days. So commit to something, write it down, maybe 1 video a day for 30 days, 1 video a day for 20 days, something like that. That would be pretty good. Oftentimes people post a lot of volume and then they don't see results and then give up. And I'm guilty of this myself. Also, the amount you post would be very different based on the niche you're in and what type of content you produce. For example, if you're making high quality talking head videos like this, it might take a bit more effort and time to produce than, say, product B-roll of a necklace you're trying to drop ship. So it really depends on what type of product you're trying to sell or what you're talking about or what type of content you want to produce, but just try to be as consistent as possible. For me, I try to make 1 video a day and the standard of that video will be 70% of what I'm capable of. In terms of the strategy, after you determine frequency, try to get volume in early on and try to experiment with different things. Just like bodybuilding. I'm going to give you a bodybuilding example. So At the very start, you might see beginners asking about what's the best split. Should I do a push-pull legs, or should I do an Arnold split, or should I do the bro split, whatever, right? Often the piece of advice I hear for beginners is don't care so much about the best split or whatever. Just get the volume in. Just do it. Just do as many reps as you can. Try things out, see what works, see what doesn't work. And then once you see what you like, once you start getting results, then you can niche down and like really target certain areas. I'm not really sure with the whole bodybuilding example because I don't really have the credentials for bodybuilding, but that's a similar idea. So in the beginning, you just want to get the reps in. Make as much content as you can and don't compromise too much on quality. Now, you have to experiment with what works. You test different pieces of content, and perhaps this style of video has done really, really well. So what you do now is you look at that piece of video, perhaps analyze why it did well, and try to make similar pieces of content. So if I make a video on my back day, and then I do a leg day, and then I do protein shake, and then protein shake video does well, then what I should do, I should make more protein shake videos, right? Because it did well, it would likely do well again. Try to copy the exact hook, the length, the style, the cuts, the captions, whatever. Just try to replicate a video that did really, really well. So when a video does well, you want to knuckle down and keep making that style of video to ride the wave. And then once the waves kind of died down, then you can experiment again. You can even repost that piece of content if it does really well later on. Here's how you find great content ideas. First of all, you must know that you should try to be making content which is native to the platform. Try not to be too creative and experiment with things here and there because, as we mentioned earlier, TikTok loves native content. So what I try to do, I try to learn from the greats, people who have made content and it has done well, and I just try to replicate aspects of it. So how you can do this, you can scroll on the For You page and look for things that are popping off right now. Also, what you can do, you can look for small-ish creators like 1K to 10K followers. Look at their page and then look for videos that do disproportionately well, that does a lot better than the other videos, and try to replicate those videos. So those videos that either on the For You page or their page that does well, what you want to do, you want to look at their hooks. You want to look at the style of content, the topic of their content. And I'm not saying copy them completely, don't rip them off, but I want you to try to copy aspects of what they do. Maybe the hook was great here, the topic was great here, the lighting in the first frame was perfect here. And I want you to copy aspects of it and then use that as inspiration with your own content. I just remembered this now, but another way is you can search for a topic on TikTok, then you go to most liked and you go maybe 1 week or 1 month. And then you can also look for top tier pieces of content there as well. Now here's a format of content that could do really well. Generally you want to have a hook, then you want the body of the content, and then a call to action. And now I'll go a bit more in depth into each one. So the hook. The hook is how you can get attention and establish credibility. And there are many ways that you can garner attention. You can say a trigger word in the first line, a word that makes them a bit uneasy and makes them want to watch a bit more. You can make a promise. For example, here are 3 ways to lose belly fat really quickly. You can borrow somebody else's status, like, here are 3 ways that Warren Buffett recommends the average Joe to invest. If you don't want to show your face, paper cutouts work really well as well. You can also use in-app text, like on TikTok, you can use TikTok text. That makes the video look more native to the platform, and that usually improves the hook. You can also add a bit of movement in the shot, whether you're grabbing something or walking or doing some sort of action. That usually improves attention grabbing as well. Then to the actual style of content that does well, there are a few styles of videos that do really, really well. You can try to use built-in features. For example, on TikTok, you can use TikTok features, like the green screen feature, because they really love it when you use that inbuilt feature. You can do 7-second videos of a nice background. You can also do a style of video where you're just literally talking to yourself, where you go talk to someone in that general direction and then you answer that conversation by facing the other direction, and you have different backgrounds so it doesn't look weird. But that's another style of content that does really well as well. You can try a few trends. You go on the For You page, see a few pieces of content which look very similar to each other. That's probably a trend and you can replicate that. You can do stock footage with captions. Captions help improve retention, and stock footage is easy to access, so you can just do a voiceover with the stock footage and then the captions. That could do really well. You can look in your comment section and look at comments that people have and try to respond to those comments, and that addresses your community directly, and that often does really well too, because that's also an inbuilt feature. Okay, now let's think about possible ways that we can improve retention during our video so people stay on for longer. And from TikTok's point of view, they want people to stay on for longer because that's what they want, people to use the app more. So if you can improve retention, TikTok will love that piece of content and push it out to more people. So here are some ways you can improve retention. The first way is to add captions. Captions help the people stay engaged. They read the captions, they watch the visuals, more to focus on. People love that. You can change the camera angles up. You can go from a close-up shot to you talking further away to you writing on a whiteboard. Changing it up helps to maintain their attention. You can try to make content which looks organic to the platform and ultimately just look at the For You page and see what's there and try to copy aspects of other people's content. You might also consider the vibe you have on camera. And the vibe I try to have on camera is I try to talk to my mates, but we're all at a board meeting. So it's semi-professional is what I try to aim for. And you might also want to use sounds which are native to the platform as well. And then at the very end, you want to have your call to action. And a good call to action is usually one that aligns your self-interest with the self-interest of the viewer. For example, if I'm trying to make an activism message on why young men should go to the gym more frequently, and I am very pro going to the gym, I could say at the end of my video, if you would like to spread this message to other young men who also needs to go to the gym, I recommend you like, share, and tag a friend in the comments to help spread this message. So then you're aligning your self-interest, which is engagement, with their self-interest, wanting to spread this message. Because you can always trust people to do things in alignment with their own self-interest. Now, filming and editing. First of all, a phone is completely fine. A lot of the content that I produce that actually went viral was produced by a phone. The reason for that is that we want to make content that's native to the platform, and often a phone gets that native look. But if you use an iPhone, there are a few things you can do to make the image look slightly better. What you can do, you can go into settings, then search for camera, and then if you can, film in 4K. And then you can also change the frame rate to whatever you want. I like to film in either 24 frames per second or 60 frames per second. Also, when you film, try not to cover the mic. So the phone usually has the mic at the bottom. I'll just show you right now. If I put the phone on the table like this and I just record myself like that, often the audio gets a bit distorted. So what I usually like to do, I tend to flip my phone around so the mic's pointing up and it captures the audio much better. Now I'm gonna quickly cover some principles about beats and shot selection. So when you're editing and you're trying to make a nice edit and you want to time it to the beat, which would look sick, right? So what you do, you want to not always go on the hard beat. You want to mix it up. Sometimes you want the clips to go fast, 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 and then you want to go to a longer clip. So you want to vary it up. Don't just go for the beat each time. So sometimes go for the beat, sometimes go for the off beat, sometimes go for the word being said, and try to mix it up. Don't just go, because then it's too predictable and it might lose interest from the audience. But usually short form content, you can get away with this. It's just that it's a big no in the videography world. Try to mix it up a little bit if you can. In terms of shot selection, you also want to vary it up a little. Sometimes you want to do an establishing shot at the start of your video, and then you want to do a close-up of the face, and then a mid shot, and then B-roll. So try to mix up the shots as well. Now I'm going to talk about some other basics of videography. So I'm going to cover lighting really quick. You want to use 3-point lighting ideally. So you have a main light here, and then you have a little fill light over here to fill the other side of your face, and then usually a backlight like this at the back. So main light, a fill light, backlight. But obviously, like right now, I don't follow that setup and the lighting looks okay in my opinion. Another idea is that audio is more important than video. So sometimes you want to record with a good mic. Usually a phone is fine. I'm recording with a Blue Yeti right now, but consider upgrading your audio when you build your channel to make it more and more scalable. Also, there's this idea of A-roll and B-roll. So if I'm talking to you like this is your A-roll. And then I can put video on top and showcase what I'm trying to say, demonstrate what I'm trying to say, and that's considered your B-roll. Lastly, you can also add camera movements to your shots. So if I get my camera here, what I can do, if I'm filming a subject, say my laptop, I can go around, I can go zoom in, zoom out, I can go like this. I try not to go like this so much because that looks very amateur and everyone does that and it doesn't look that videography-ish. So I try to avoid that, but obviously it's still a good shot to use. Do this, you can do this, but just add some sort of camera movements to your shot. And that's some ideas on filming and editing. Okay, posting. You want to try to post at the right time as well. So if you could, go under your analytics and look when people are consuming your content the most. And generally you want to post 1 or 2 hours before that because it usually takes time for the algorithm to kick in and direct your content to the right people. So when I posted on Money Hub and on all my clients' pages right now in New Zealand. Usually it's around 6 p.m. is the ideal time for us to post. And there are two things that the algorithm hates that I just wanted to inform you about really quickly. The algorithm hates it when you delete content. So never just delete a piece of content. If you must, make it friends only in terms of visibility, but try not to do that still. And the other thing the algorithm doesn't like is content which is too unnative to the platform. So always try to make content which is native to the platform. Now, resources, music, I use this site called Audio when I'm trying to make things for clients so I don't get any copyright issues. But if you're on TikTok, you can make a personal account and then use the TikTok sounds. In terms of editing software, I've seen CapCut and I've tried CapCut and it's really, really great. But if you want professional software, you can use Premiere or Final Cut Pro, and I use Final Cut Pro. In terms of stock footage, I use Pixels and I've got no issues with Pixels so far. For fonts, I like to use the bold font, Montserrat, Druckwide, and Cochin, and those are my resources. So to sum it all up, short form content is an amazing way to grow an audience. You need to choose a topic that you can talk about for hours on end. After that, the game is to garner attention and establish credibility. Remember, you're a stranger on the internet. The people that watch your content don't know you. They need a reason to watch your content and also stay on. And then once you do that, you then need to add tons and tons of value to your audience so they eventually follow. My strategy in the beginning is to post a lot of volume in the beginning, just post as frequently as possible while not compromising quality too much. And then after a video has popped off, doubling down and doing more and more of that style of content. Also, you need to care about retention because retention is what ultimately helps the algorithm push it out to more people, and there are techniques that you could use to do that. And if all else fails, what you can do, you can look at other pieces of content that has performed well on the platform and just copy elements of it. So if you want anything outsourced, whether it be captions, editing, consulting, things like that, let me know. Contact me down below through the website or my email. But overall, thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next one.